Nous avons maintenant le plaisir d'accueillir notre premier intervenant international. Il nous vient de Géorgie. Levan VASADZE. Donc Levan est un businessman géorgien, président d'un fonds d'investissement basé en Russie. Il a plus de 20 ans d'expérience dans les opérations de private equity et de banques d'investissement. Mais Levan, c'est surtout et avant tout un fervent défenseur de la famille et des valeurs traditionnelles. À ce titre, il est partenaire du World Congress of Family en Géorgie. C'est aussi un grand philanthrope. Levan travaille beaucoup au développement d'abord du rugby dans son pays, très important à souligner. Je dirais donc que si un jour le 15 de Géorgie surclasse le 15 de France, on saura à qui on le doit. Il agit aussi beaucoup dans le domaine de l'éducation, puisque Levan a fondé une magnifique école sur les hauteurs de Tbilissi, où il habite. Et enfin, Levan est un appui de l'Église orthodoxe géorgienne, puisqu'il soutient la construction et la réparation de nombreuses églises et monastères. Levan, Levan est venu de Géorgie pour nous parler de l'expérience libérale de la Géorgie.
Mesdames et messieurs, mes chers amis, je suis heureux et honoré d'être ici avec vous. Je voudrais m'excuser d'être obligé de faire ma présentation en anglais, mais mon français n'est malheureusement pas assez bon pour continuer dans la langue de Molière. I come from a very disappointed generation. Yes.
Normalement, vous avez tous un casque. C'est le moment de transférer.
My parents and grandparents have fought fascism and defeated fascism. We and our parents have fought communism and have defeated communism. And in that fight, the light, the shining city on the hill, the beacon towards which we were thriving was Western liberalism. And what a disappointment it has been. In 2003, Washington-based globalists have sponsored a Rose Revolution in Tbilisi, Georgia, promising all the goodies of Western liberalism to us. During the 9 years of the reign of our revolutionaries, 7.5% of the country's entire population was put to jail. By official statistics, something like 9,940 businesses were attacked and confiscated by Western liberal ideologists. Our embattled Georgian Christian church has been attacked like nothing we have ever seen, even under the communist rule. When we tried to protest peacefully and democratically against this new form of totalitarianism, our citizens were crushed ruthlessly in peaceful demonstrations by police and military, and not one Western ambassador objected to this. When they tried to have a first gay parade in Georgia, which we did not permit to be had, and we, how should I say, chased away the shameful people from our streets without hurting them. The same Western ambassadors screamed in a choir of outrage. So I do agree with the previous speaker, the professor from Britain, that Marxism is one of the forms of Western invented totalitarianism. But I happen to think it's one of three forms of Western invented totalitarianism. First came liberalism, Western liberalism, which we can argue if it's a product of Martin Luther's Reformation or John Locke's philosophy and Adam Smith's economic theory, or if it's a product of French Revolution, but we can all agree it comes somewhere from there. Then came the Western Marxism, and then came the Western fascism. They were all defeated in reverse order. First the fascism, then the communism, and I believe you and we will now be defeating liberalism. The center of each of these three forms of ideology was different. Liberalism uses, I would say, René Descartes' invented artificial concept of individual, nothing natural about individual. It's an artificial Latin word which means undividable, individuum, undividable. Ever since it has been invented, this same ideology has been trying to divide individual from every form of identity that it has. Ethnic, gender, now human. Marxism's subject or center was class. Class. And fascism's center was race. All of these are useless in a normal society, in a traditional society. When I grew up, my mother and father didn't take me around Tbilisi and didn't tell me, Levan, you have a right to do this, you have a right to do that. That's not how they raised me. They told me, Levan, you do not have a right to do this, you do not have a right to do that, you have an obligation to do this, you have an obligation to do that. And that's what makes a human a human. I think if we take 193 constitutions on this planet, we live in a monopoly now with the collapse of Soviet Union, except for Cuba and North Korea and some Islamic states. Monopolistically, every constitution is under liberal matrix, with the individual at the center of the paradigm. This needs to go. We have been living in this matrix for 25 years. We're all dissidents of an occupied planet. I believe we need to move from saying what we do not want to what we do want. From negative narrative against liberalism to affirmative narrative of tradition. One of my favorite thinkers of tradition is French philosopher René Guénon, who wrote almost 100 years ago that there are two categories of people who can believe in the narrative of Western civilization: naive fools and cynics. I do not want to be a part of either of these categories, nor do I see anyone in this room who wants to be that. So I think the time is coming to participate, to be molecules in the affirmative narrative of tradition. I believe all these three totalitarianisms have one father, one author. I actually happen to suspect that he, whose name should not be spoken, will present us with the fourth horseman of apocalypse. I am not smart enough to know when it will come, what will be the name of it, and what will be the ideology of it. I believe, as always, it will come to liberate us from the previous three, because that's what they do. And with very hard to detect signs of initial rotting, it will enchant millions and take with them. If you are a Christian, like I am, you believe in apocalypse. If you don't believe in apocalypse, you cannot be a Christian. But also, you do not know, nobody knows when that happens. It can happen tomorrow, it can happen in 1,000 years from now. I think liberalism is dying because it was a beautiful dissident to communism, and like communism was dissident to fascism. But when left alone, it has started eating itself. It's in idiocy and it's in self-contradiction. For example, prohibition of prohibitions is the most foolish oxymoron I have ever come across. So I think we have a window, and Donald Trump and Marine Le Pen and Brexit, I don't care. I think these are fragile, temporary symptoms of something much deeper. I want to participate in the creation of affirmative narrative of tradition. And when I think about what should be the center of the normal society, I don't think it should be race, I don't think it should be class, and God forbid it is individual. I'm not an individual. I am a part, I'm a component. I'm a brother, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and that's the only thing that makes me human. We can all have our opinions. What should be the subject or the carrier of the normal society? I, as a traditional Caucasian, German anthropologist Johann Friedrich Blumenbach in 18th century called the white race because of Caucasians. So we're all called Caucasians. As a very ancient, very old traditional Caucasian, my opinion is that the center of the normal society should be family. And it is. And it is the quantum or the basis which is above religion, above race, above nationality. So, thinking together, what should be the components of reinvention under the new paradigm is the only thing that makes me intellectually curious after the disappointment of meeting with Western liberalism. My country historically has been a bastion of Christianity in the sea of Islam. And we have been crucified for being Christians for centuries. And the direction from which the danger was coming historically has been southeast. And we were one of the shields, just like our Serbian brothers, one of the shields of Europe from southeast. In last 200 or 300 years, the direction of the plague has changed. And we have become the shield of these deadly three totalitarianisms coming from northwest. And so we retained our function, but changed the direction of the danger. I do not know where we go from here, but I do know that you, the French, living under one of the most ruthless occupations of Western liberalism, are much bigger heroes resisting it than we are. And we thank you for that. And we thank you for hosting us today. Thank you very much.
Levan, encore une fois, un grand merci à toi d'être venu de Géorgie pour nous donner ta vision de l'Occident et nous faire partager ton expérience. Heureusement qu'on n'a pas attendu les médias français pour nous la donner. On va attendre encore longtemps. Merci à toi, Levan.